Hey, it's you. I have a story for you today. Boy, do I have a story for you today. I have been in my travels to a good number of countries, some of which are generally deemed unsafe. In my experience, those unsafe countries have been some of the best experiences in all of my travels, and I have felt perfectly content, safe, and the unsafeness of it is just the fact that it's not white and westernized as we are in North America. Where did I have my most terrifying near-death experience? Where was I almost not in South America, where I don't speak the language, not in some of the pickpocketing capitals of the world, but where? New Zealand. Now, unfortunately, this story does include and I don't think that's a word I can just use all willy-nilly on YouTube. So just know that when I say bun, or if I do this with my hands, I do in fact mean. There's your trigger warning too, I guess, if that's content you don't want to consume. But if you're gonna stick around, buckle in, because this is genuinely a crazy story, and I am not exaggerating. I am not being facetious. Stick with me and you'll see. So let me paint the picture for you. I'm on a road trip across the South Island with some friends. We're doing tons of hikes, we're eating out of camping stoves, we're sleeping in tents and in our van at night, and it's, for the most part, an enjoyable experience. And as we are driving to this one hike, it's about a 4-hour hike to a hut. And if you don't know what a hut hike is, it's just essentially like an out and back hike, typically, or a circuit hike, but it's too long to do in one day. So you have a stop overnight, and it's a hut that typically has some beds. You kind of have to pre-book it. As we are driving to this hike, I start getting a really bad feeling. I start pointing out other places along the road as we were driving in that we could spend the night instead of doing this hike. In New Zealand, there's a lot of freedom camping. You can't freedom camp anywhere, but there are a number of sites where you can just pull up your van and you can stay for the night, no problem. And there were a number of those along the way. So I'm pointing these out to my friends as we're getting closer and closer to the trailhead. I'm like, hey, maybe we keep this in mind, hey? What do you think? They weren't really biting, and it's getting late at this point, and we will be lucky if we make it to the hut before nightfall. And luckier still if there are any beds left for us. As I said, we didn't pre-book this, which is on us. I will admit that you should pre-book the beds at the hut if you are hoping to get one. When we get to the trailhead, my stomach just drops, my heart starts thundering, my breathing is shallow. I just feel really bad about this. My intuition was off the charts in this moment. The premonitions, this feeling I was having, I can't believe how strongly I was catching on to that in some energetic subconscious way. I really start insisting to my friends that we do not do this hike. I'm begging them to go back to any of the other camping spots we passed along the way. I'm telling them I don't feel good. I don't have a good feeling about this hike. My friends tell me that we aren't doing that, and that we are going on the hike, and that I can stay back at the van by myself if that's how I really feel. Now, mind you, it is my birthday. Yeah, it is my birthday. I don't really want to spend my birthday alone in a van at the trailhead when I have this gut feeling that my friends are going off into a situation that's not safe. And also, it was my birthday. They said happy birthday to me once, and then we did nothing to celebrate. At the end of the day, I didn't want to be alone for my birthday in a foreign country, which I think is valid. But hey, we go on the hike. It's all fine. It's pretty simple. And by the time dusk falls, there's one steep hill left ahead of us, and I start having an asthma attack at the base of the hill. I had asthma growing up, but almost never as an adult. Maybe once or twice a year, so infrequently that I don't have an inhaler anymore, certainly not one that I carry with me. And there's really no reason for me to have had an asthma attack when I'm standing at the base of a hill when the hike has otherwise been mostly flat, and there's just really no reason for that to have happened. In hindsight, I recognize this may have been maybe a panic attack or an anxiety attack, or just maybe it really was an asthma attack, and it was just my body's way of trying to get me to say we need to reevaluate this situation. But either way, I push through and we make it to the site. So this trail is along the Tearoa Trail. Sorry if I butchered that. Basically, the TA is this hike that goes across both islands. It's a really cool hike. It is a bucket list hike for me. I think it takes 3 months. You start from the top of the North Island and it takes you to the bottom of the South Island. It's really cool. Anyways, this hut is along that trail, so it's busy. There's probably like 12 to 18 other hikers at the site, and we decide to check in the hut to see if there are any bunks left, just on the off chance, because we saw tons of tents set up, like a lot of tents set up. So we thought maybe there's like a bed or two left. So we get into the hut and we discover that 5 of the 6 bunks are empty. I mean, I can't believe our luck. It's my birthday and there are open bunks at this overpopulated site. Crazy. I thought we just had the best luck in this moment, and I was like, oh, obviously my intuition was wrong. And then that is until I look at the bunk that is occupied and I see this just beat up, old, muddy backpack, a lot of rope, a very concerning amount of rope, and sitting on top of it all, a rifle. Of course, this could have been a licensed hunter, and as I understand it, New Zealand has pretty strict control laws, even maybe stricter than we have here in Canada. But I just know immediately in my heart that that is not the situation. I understood so intrinsically that this was bad news and that this was what my intuition was warning me about, that I instantly took out my phone to take a picture of this rifle, of this whole setup, as if I knew I would need evidence for something before I even had a reason to. We go back out to socialize with the other hikers when we meet our odd man out. A man probably in his 40s. He's missing a lot of his front teeth. He is a Kiwi, he's from New Zealand, and he is belligerently drunk. He keeps interrupting conversations, just kind of spewing nonsense, largely about how he's a local in New Zealand and that the tourists are ruining his country. Now, not to say that that belief in itself is nonsense. As a resident of a tourist town, I understand this take all too well, and I'm sure a lot of Kiwis feel that way. I mean, I do know that that is why they changed the rules regarding freedom camping for van lifers, because people were just not respecting the land. So of course there's huge merit to this belief, but it was the way in which he spoke, it was his reasons for this belief that were just nonsensical. The other hikers are trying not to engage with him, acknowledging him just enough that he doesn't get mad that we are ignoring him, but not so much that he feels the need to continue engaging with us. Really, they're just trying to de-escalate his rising temper, while he all the while is drinking from a large, unlabeled brown bottle. Everyone knew this was not a good situation. We understood why the bunks were empty. My one friend that I was with, a cocky American, is finding this kind of funny and is somewhat provoking him, responding in kind of mocking and cocky ways. If you know someone like this, then I'm sure you know the manner that I mean. So despite trying to kind of separate myself from her in this man's eyes, because she really is provoking him, even though she's saying things that if you looked at it objectively are like, you're not saying the wrong thing. You know what I mean? She was provoking him. It was joking, it was condescending, it was just provoking him. So I was trying to kind of separate myself from her and not make it seem so apparent that we were in like a group together. Despite my best attempts at this, I don't know why, but he turns his attention to me. I really don't know why. Maybe it's because I have this kind of hippie, witchy vibe or aesthetic going on, but he starts accusing me of doing black magic and, quote, bringing the devils to New Zealand. This is really scary. He's like focused all of his attention on me, and he's angry and he's drunk, and it's just this horrifying energy being directed at me. But he soon starts to accuse all of us at the site of doing this, of doing black magic and bringing the devils to New Zealand. Mind you, there is no service here. We are a 4-hour hike away from anywhere we might find service, and it is dark. The stars are out. There's a sliver of a moon. Some of us stands up as he continues to yell at us, not wanting to be caught sitting if something happens. This sets him off, and I start moving towards a bigger guy that I would feel safer near, and he really doesn't like that I started making, I guess, obvious movements. He fully turns his full body to me and starts asking me where I'm going, and with his fist raised, as he's yelling at me, he starts walking towards me like he's gonna punch me. I really hate this. I've not been in this situation before, and I like to think I would have had a better response, but I really did freeze in that situation. I didn't know what to do. But I am forever grateful for this amazing Irish man that stepped in between us and tells the guy that no one is doing any black magic and that maybe he should go lay down and that he definitely shouldn't punch anybody and he just needs to take a breath. So the man goes into the hut and we're still on high alert for 5-10 minutes, but it really does seem like he's gone to bed and that things have settled down and we're okay. Everyone relaxes, we start chatting and getting to know each other, letting our nerves settle, and this lasts for about 20 minutes. He comes out of the hut in a rampage with his bun in hand, cocked and loaded, aiming it at all of us, and screaming about how he could kill all of us if he wanted to. This is the most scared I have ever been in my life, and I genuinely thought I was going to die here in New Zealand on my 24th birthday. Again, accusing all of us of black magic. At point, he makes us all swear that we are not bringing the devils to New Zealand. And objectively, is this kind of funny to think about? A man pointing a rifle at all of us individually and making all of us individually say, we are not bringing the devils to New Zealand. It's actually maybe not even funny in that scenario. And it definitely wasn't funny at the time because he was crazy and I really thought he was going to boot someone. So one hiker has the good sense to roll him a cigarette and offer it to him, and somehow, God knows how, but thank God, this works. He puts the down and sits at the picnic table directly across from me. Despite almost dying, myself and the man beside me, unspoken, see our opportunity here to get information out of him. Over the course of an hour, we are talking with him, and he tells us his full legal name, the city he was born in, his date of birth, and he apologizes for threatening us with a bun. Then he tells us that he's a wanted criminal and that he is on the run from the police. He asks us over and over and over if we are going to rat him out to the pigs. What? You, Rowan? You who put a shotgun in my face and threatened to kill me? No, I would never tell the police. The fuck? But obviously we tell him no, and he believes us. Clearly, he is very mentally unwell. I think he's probably has paranoid schizophrenia, could be any number of things, but obviously he is unwell. He went from threatening our lives to telling us everything about himself just like that, the flip of a coin. Obviously he was unwell, but it doesn't change the fact that this was a horrifying and probably somewhere in me a traumatizing experience, and for sure put a damper on my birthday. Of course, nobody sleeps in the hut with him that night. The three of us squeeze into our little one-person tent, and by the time we wake up, right as the sun rises, he is already gone. Now, speaking with the other campers, we do believe he was maybe staying at this hut for a while. This is kind of grody, but just like a few feet away in the bush, we found a lot of human feces and toilet paper. And traditionally, hikers, outdoorsy people, we know better than that. If you have to shit on the trail, that's not how you take care of it. We did discuss and we had this theory that maybe he was staying here, hiding out in the woods for a while. We say goodbye to everyone who now feel like very close friends, having survived this experience together, and we wish them good luck on the rest of their hike, and we head back to our van. Obviously, I immediately call the cops. I give them all the information I have. I send them the photo of the bun I took. They confirm that he is a wanted man. They don't tell us what he's wanted for, but they take down all of our information. And actually, to date, I've never heard anything else about it. This was probably one of my worst birthdays. Definitely one of my most entertaining birthdays. For sure, the birthday with the best story. Would not wish this experience on anyone. Buns are very scary, and I feel very grateful to live in a country that has very strict laws on them. It just goes to show you that bad things can happen anywhere, so you shouldn't necessarily let that fear of danger stop you from experiencing your life. If I listen to all of the warnings I've gotten about certain countries, certain places, doing things alone, doing things as a woman, doing things as a solo woman, if I didn't do those things, all those things I got warnings about, I would have missed out on some of my greatest memories yet. The one place I went to, New Zealand, that nobody in my life was worried about because, hey, it's New Zealand. That is the only place in all of my travels that I have ever thought something bad is gonna happen to me. So really, if you're gonna take a moral from this story, don't let fear stop you from living your life. Dangerous things can happen anywhere, even in the safest of places. That is the story of my 24th birthday in New Zealand and how it almost me. Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if it moves ya, and I'll see you in the next one.